What's going on, duelists? Welcome to first episode of the ACPodcast. Since this is the first episode, I'm going to first I need to introduce my guest. We have the infamous Matt, and
Infinite how? Infinite.
well, you've been on my
What did I
stream a few
do?
times, but
Oh, right.
as far as why I'm doing this podcast, I have opinions. I think my opinions are good. You have opinions. I think your opinions are good.
You do?
Yeah, I think we have good chemistry together. No homo.
Extra
Um,
homo.
some amount of homo. And, most importantly, the reason why I decided to do this is because it's called AC Podcast. I mean, how cool is that? One time, I was seriously considering at one point starting, like, a company to, like, fix air conditioners just because I could call the company AC
no.
Pennington, and it would have been amazing.
Dude,
So,
I'm
this
channeling
is...
the whole audience right now. Oh my god.
So this is slightly less effort than doing that. So, I mean, enough said.
Okay.
So, all right. So we got some great topics. We're gonna be talking about boomers, shrinking dicks, Goat Format Warriors, and then at the end, gonna show off my new Goat Sim features. Right? That's the incentive for everyone to listen. Okay, Matt. So you picked.
You realize they can just skip to the end, right?
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, you picked our first topic. As will be customary on this podcast, I will let the guest pick the first topic, and you picked something about boomers and technology. So,
Oh my god. Okay,
I mean,
all right. So the absolute level of ineptitude between like boomers and anything made after the year 1998 is hilariously high. Like,
well, that's a very original and intelligent take. Let me guess. Next, you're gonna tell me that student debt is too high and avocados are the shit.
You're right. Absolutely. That was my next sentence. Anyway, but no, like, here's the thing. I always heard these stories, and I just thought, they're probably exaggerated. No one's that stupid. Oh boy, was I wrong. Oh my god, was I wrong. Because, like, before you start, working in, like, a sales or customer service job, you like, I know, you have to figure out there's probably some truth to it. There's probably some BS, probably people exaggerating. But no, it actually is that bad. And a perfect example, I actually recently, quit T-Mobile. And, like, as a sales rep for T-Mobile, I got the most boomeriest boomers of all, like, oh my god. Like, okay, so one example, there's this guy that called in, okay? He's like, hello, I'm looking for some dandy leather. And I'm like, oh, sir, we have cell phones. I could sell you a leather phone case. That's what I thought he was talking about. But then, I'm like, yeah, sir, I can get you signed up for T-Mobile, and I can get you a leather phone case. Guy goes, what's T-Mobile? I need some dandy leather. And, like, I just want to know, like, how do you get T-Mobile mixed up with leather?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, that just sounds like he has, like, dementia or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Just based on the little that you've told.
Sure.
I mean, did you just, like, hang up on him at some point? Like,
well, no. I ended up figuring out he actually meant Tandy Leather, like Tandy, which is like an arts and crafts company. And
oh.
Yeah.
So he just dialed the wrong number. Okay.
Yeah, which I don't know how, because I think it's an 888 number for T-Mobile or an 800 number, and for Tandy it was 877. So I don't know how he did it, but he managed to do it. And like I said, that one, you think, okay, that guy probably had dementia, he didn't know what was going on. No, it gets worse. Okay, so and most like I've only been I recently changed jobs. I'm selling insurance and not T-Mobile now, but
moving on up.
Yeah, moving on up, kind of, not really. Anyways, so with another day with T-Mobile, this guy was talking about how he didn't have service in a place where is a notorious dead zone in his area.
Sure.
Like I live in Tampa, and this guy also happened to live in Tampa. And we both had T-Mobile, and I can't remember exactly where it was, but we were at a place that had free Wi-Fi. And then he's like, son, how can you get me some of that Wi-Fi? And I'm like, huh? Oh, no, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi? I'm like, oh, you mean Wi-Fi? Yeah. He's like, yeah, I don't see anything that says Wi-Fi on my phone. So I kind of like have to like instruct him to go like to like certain place in his phone and this whole shebang. And he's like, okay, well, I went into settings. I'm like at the top of the screen, and then he's like, oh, is it the flying saucers at the top left of the screen? I'm like, huh? What? Excuse me? And he's like, oh yes, it's next to the Chinese symbol. And I realized later he was talking about Bluetooth.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like something that's not real, like something that would happen like on a sitcom or something. Like, I need help with my Wi-Fi.
My Wi-Fi, and also next to the Chinese next to the Chinese symbol, the flying saucers.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Bluetooth is a Nordic symbol, not a Chinese symbol.
Okay, I wouldn't know.
Well, actually, I mean, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here, but you know that the Bluetooth symbol is actually like in Viking lore, and
okay.
and that the Bluetooth like technology is actually named after a famous Viking, Harold Bluetooth, and that was his that was how you wrote his name in whatever.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. I never knew why Bluetooth was called Bluetooth.
Yeah, and in fact, hold on, I like at some point like maybe like put this like in the Bluetooth symbol on like the thumbnail of the podcast or something.
Sure.
But like it's actually in one of the and I don't remember. Unfortunately, it's been a while since I took Viking history, so I don't remember exactly what alphabet this is. But there's like a couple of like Nordic alphabets, if I recall. And yeah, so anyways,
yeah. I mean, I will say, like, honestly, I haven't had that. Like, I definitely don't have any stories like that.
You got some good ones.
No, I mean, honestly, the only thing that like triggers me about like boomers and technology is that they just assume that I know everything, right? It's not that they don't know enough, it's that like I could be at like something that would happen is I'd be at like my mom's house and she'd be having a problem with her TV and go, "Hey Alan, will you help me like fix this TV?" I'm like, I don't own the TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never used it before. You've been using it for years. I have 0 hours of experience. Like, that would be like if I said, "Hey, Mom, will you help me fix my Goat Format deck?" Like, that just doesn't make any sense, right?
I mean, knowing your luck, you'll find a way to fix it better than she would anyways.
Sure, but that's because, like, again, it's not that I have some special knowledge that she doesn't have. It's that I don't like give up as easily, right? So I think sometimes when, older people are sort of grouped together with younger people, they go, "Oh yeah, rather than me learn how to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get them to do it." Which I don't know. We're just so oppressed, right? We're just,
We're so oppressed.
Yeah, we're greatly oppressed.
We have to explain that the flying saucer and the Chinese symbols and how they work. It sucks.
Yeah, so honestly, like, I don't know. I think you picked a pretty shitty first topic. Like I said,
you're the one who ordered them.
Huh?
Hey, you're the one who put them in order, so you have no one to blame but yourself.
No, I mean, you picked the first topic. Your topic was boomers aren't good with technology, which, I'm sure is blowing our viewers' minds. Oh my god, I had no idea.
Well, really, I guess it was kind of more just story time. And like, hey, if you have any good boomer like technology stories, please drop them in the comments, because I'm sure like if they're anything like my flying saucer and what's T-Mobile story, I'm sure that they'll be
I mean, for me, it's like, again, it's not like I don't think they're that, like, most of them at least, the ones that I interact with aren't that bad with technology. It's just that, again, they assume that, like, we're good with technology, you know, like, which, I don't know. I
Man,
mean,
speaking of which,
for
go
me,
ahead.
it's
Sorry.
like, as far as the generations go, I think we have, like, more in common than differences, which I know
Oh
is,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe, I don't think that's a very popular opinion, but, like, I went to, training at, like, work once. It's like, here are all the differences between the generations. Like, here are how their values are different. And I'm thinking, like, there is no other, like, group of people that you could have that training about, right? Like, imagine if you just replaced generations with race. Hey, guys, here's how, black people and white people are so different from each other, right? Like,
Oh
you
my
could just
god.
never have that. And for good reason, right? I mean, to be clear, I'm not saying we should have that training. So, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but replace generation with race, and it's like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
And I don't know,
Yeah,
like, again, I was kind of joking about, like, how we're oppressed or whatever, because
yeah.
clearly, like, we're not. But from my experience, like, age is one of, like, the only things where it's still acceptable to discriminate in our society.
Yeah, like, hey, you get $2 off an ice cream cone because you managed to live for 65 years. Whoopee!
Oh, I
You
mean,
sure accomplished a lot there.
that's not, like, even necessarily what I'm talking about. Again, it's just, like,
I know what you're
mostly,
talking
it's just
about.
mostly, like, attitudes in work, where young people are expected to do certain things and older people are expected to do certain things, or, and vice versa, and not expected to do certain things.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, like,
like, if I don't know, say I was doing some research at work on basketball, I wouldn't, like, walk up to the first black person in the office and be like, "Hey, I bet you know a lot about basketball, right?" Because
I
that's
would.
just.
No, I'm just kidding.
Whereas anytime, like, someone needs help with, like, technology, it's like, oh, let me just, like, find the youngest person in the room and ask them to help. Which to me, it's like, why should they have to help?
Well, and I swear, like, that actually reminds me of another
And
thing.
I'm sure there's probably some technology, of course, that I mean, part of it is, like, what you're born with, right? What time you're born. Like, I wouldn't expect a 16-year-old to know what a floppy disk is, and for good reason. Like, I think it works the other way too. Like, people are like, haha, they don't know what a floppy disk is, and it's like, yeah,
Well, no
why
shit.
should they? I mean,
It's
it's silly.
obsolete technology.
Like Ellen DeGeneres, I think, had some young person on her show, and it's like, haha, this person can't work a rotary phone. It's like, yeah,
Why should they?
why would you expect them to? Like, that's, like, why, I don't understand why that's supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I mean, there is the whole fire. Like, now, I'm not going to defend Ellen DeGeneres because it's pretty clear a lot of stories she's a pretty shit person and not a great comedian. But like, there
Oh
is
yeah,
one thing she got.
I hated her before it was cool. I just want everyone
Uh,
to know that.
oh man. Okay, so anyways, there is one thing she gets backlash for that I actually don't think she deserves it. There's one thing in particular and only one thing. She made a joke that was like a rare joke that was actually funny from Ellen. It was like, man, being in my house is like jail because everyone here is gay and I'm wearing the same clothes for 4 days. Like, I thought that was pretty funny. And people were like, oh, that's insensitive. I'm like, what?
I don't know, but she's gay, so I don't.
That's the joke. Is like, it's
I
like
I
prison
know,
because,
but you're saying that, like, the gay community was offended by that?
well, people were. It's like, well, you live. Not the gay community. Like, everyone's like, you live in a mansion. How dare you call your house a prison? It's like, dude, it was a joke.
Oh,
Like,
so okay. At
uh,
first, I thought it was gay people were offended, but it was people offended about how she compared it to a prison.
yeah,
Okay.
and and like I said, it's one of those things that was so like there are some jokes like, okay, I guess I see why you find it offensive. This one, like, how can you find it offensive? This one was so clearly a joke. I don't see how you can make it any more clear without flat out saying it's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the best policy, what I try to do is I try not to be offended by things, but at the same time, I try to not offend other people, right? Like, at least to some extent. Like, I'm talking about, like, in the real world.
Oh well, yeah.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like,
What's to say?
I mean, when I'm in certain company, I know like what jokes are gonna offend people and what aren't. Obviously, when you have a TV show, you can't like. It's a lot harder to avoid offending all 1 million people that are watching.
Oh, of course.
So, yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
no,
I think most times, I mean, it depends on what kind of comedian someone is, but usually they're not like actively trying to offend someone with their joke. So again,
Oh
it's
yeah.
like if I know that they're that they're not trying to offend me, then I try to not be offended. I don't know. Maybe
No,
it's not that simple.
and no, I think there's a valid point behind that. Yeah, I really feel like some people get offended for other people for very little reason. Like best example, like I used to work at a Chinese place, and anytime, like in fact, my Chinese boss would sometimes say, "Hey man, you want some cat? Like cat? Meow." Like he would say that stuff like
Right.
as a joke, but he's never even eaten cat, and he's from Hong Kong.
Right. Yeah, so
But like if someone came saying someone like someone's like I was talking to is I heard him say, "Hey, these Chinese people eat cat." Like even if they were joking or in some weird context, it'd be like, "Oh, how dare you? They don't eat cat," or "That's it. That's insensitive," or whatever. But like, dude,
yeah.
he's literally making his own jokes about it, and so does everyone else in that store that's Chinese.
Yeah,
Like
so
people
anyways, I think
are,
we've beaten this topic to death. Let's move on to
and we're also going to tangent and tangent. So yeah,
yeah,
let's move
yeah.
on.
Well, it's fine, but I try to manage our time here. So let's move on to
Yeah.
shrinking dicks. So I'm gonna bring up this article here.
Oh
Oh,
no.
hold on. I think we can zoom in.
So while he's bringing that up, I just want to say that like before I read this article, I forgot by the way, it was written by Aaron Brockovich, and before I like had to Google it again, I totally forgot who Aaron Brockovich was. And the first thing that Alan was like, I don't give a shit about Aaron Brockovich's opinion on the environment and
Yeah, well,
about
I mean,
dick
this
size.
you could find similar articles on other sites. Like, it's not just her. I don't even know who she
Right.
is, right?
Well, okay. Well, then I'd
Yeah,
like to
this
do a
is this
quick
has been
for
in
those who
several
don't know.
media sources. I think even the Onion had like a funny take on this.
Yeah.
But my take is, well, I have several. First of all, so the headline is, basically what the article is about is that there are, chemicals that we're putting in the water that are making people, both men and women, less fertile and are shrinking our dongs. And so, first of all, I think we can both agree that we owe Alex Jones an apology because he said that chemicals in the water were turning frogs gay. Now, 90% of that statement was wrong, but the 10% that was right was really right? I mean, he just missed the mark a little. They're not turning frogs gay, but they are shrinking our dicks, which is even worse, right? I mean, I think we can both agree that small dongs is a much worse problem for society than gay frogs. I mean, am I right or am I right?
Probably.
So yeah, I think we owe Alex Jones an apology. He was on to something there. So what do you think about this?
Oh man. Well, I wanted to finish my thing on for those who don't know who Erin Brockovich is, and she's following. I just want to go a quick background on Erin Brockovich. I'll go to it. So with Erin Brockovich, so if you've ever seen the movie back in 2000, it was about how she basically started with filing a complaint against like a couple of companies that was like polluting the like local water supply or something like that. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. But bottom line is she ended up like becoming a lawyer and like suing the crap out of them and winning. And so that's kind
interesting.
Yeah. And after that, she became a very big environmental activist.
Okay, yeah,
so,
I had no idea.
So, like, when I told you that I don't give a shit about Erin Brockovich's environmental views, that's like saying I don't give a shit about Neil deGrasse Tyson's view on astrophysics.
I mean, to be fair, I don't really care about his view on astrophysics.
I know, but like it's to draw the parallel. Work with me here.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny, like on the environment in general, I I think that like as society, because like when we talk about the environment, it's like all about climate change, right? Like, oh man, Earth's gonna get like 2 degrees hotter or whatever. To me, I think the Earth getting like 2 degrees hotter is like way less of a big deal than the fact that pretty soon we'll be on track to have more plastic in the ocean by mass than fish. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like it's just all about climate change. And to me, like, I'm not even sure if that's like one of the top 3 biggest environmental issues. And yet it's all that politicians want to talk about.
I mean, you got an excellent point there, especially like you know, like what would the other two be? Do you think? Like, if you had to pick another
Well,
two,
I
like,
mean, again, like this, the fact that, our dongs are getting smaller. But no, I mean, they were saying in this article that, like, yeah, it says a 20-something-year-old woman is less fertile than her grandmother was at 35. Now, obviously, like, right now we kind of have an overpopulation problem, not so much an underpopulation problem. But in our lifetime, I could easily see it starting to swing back the other way. Because in some countries, like the birth rate is less than the death rate, which
America's one of them, yeah.
I think in America it's actually like pretty close to even. But I think in Northern Europe, it's
Northern Europe,
it's less.
Japan,
And Japan, because don't even get
China
me
as
started
well,
on Japan.
I think China might be as well.
But I will say there is one silver lining here with this trend here for us. Can you guess what it is? For like people like you and me specifically. Well, I don't know about you, but I have a kind of a small sample, but my dog has gotten very good reviews. I've been told that it is big enough, but not too big. So think about it this way, Rick.
Alan, have you ever heard the old adage, women lie? Yeah, because that's...
No, I mean, first of all, I've got a measuring tape and I can look up statistics. So I know I've got a pretty solid sized dog. Now look at it this way, Matt. If everyone is, if all the, the sort of younger guys that are getting born, if all of their dogs are shrinking on average, at some point I'm going to be 80 and like I'm just going to have like the biggest dog in the world. Like all the teenage boys are going to be walking around with like, 2-inch micro penises, and all of the young women are going to be like, man, Alan's the only guy who's got a big dong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're literally going to have a monopoly on big dongs. Like, everyone's 70 and up. Like, they're going to be begging us to star in porn because we're just going to be the only people with big dongs.
Alan,
what?
I think you need to wake up from the dream you're having.
No, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
They're saying everyone's dongs are getting smaller. So
yes, but like how much? Like keep in mind, like the guy who's hung the largest is like an actor who has a 13-inch dong and gets stopped routinely at airport security thinking he's got a bomb on him.
Hold on,
which is also hilarious.
Let me find how small they're getting. They're also shrinking penis size. Yeah, I mean, the article doesn't say. They have a link to something else. But if this trend continues enough, we're just, And again, this is also like affecting, this is also affecting fertility. So when we're 80, Matt, we're going to have the biggest dongs in the world and women won't be able to get pregnant. This is like the perfect storm. This is literally the perfect storm.
I can't with you sometimes.
I mean, obviously the downside will be that, there'll
be too many women.
Well, the downside will be that, again, populations are going to get smaller because, it's interesting because when you think about it, the number of babies that are born are just, baby making attempts times probability of success, right? I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
so,
Okay.
people are certainly attempting to have kids less often, due to
Mhm.
things like birth control, the fact that, having kids sucks. Um, and then
How
because
would
of
you know? You've
this,
never had any.
and then because of this, the probability of having a kid when you want to is getting, is getting smaller with each passing year. Like, I think they were
um,
acting like if the trends
wouldn't it?
continue, like in 50 years, like basically everyone's gonna be infertile. Like you're just gonna need like,
IVF or
basically
something?
everyone's gonna have to be a test tube baby. You're gonna
Mm.
like be made fun of if you're not a test tube baby.
Haha, your parents fucked.
Yeah, exactly. They fucked and were successful at making a baby.
Haha. Embryo bait. I don't know. There's gonna be like a kid rhyme for it. It's gonna like echo through the generations, and then we're gonna hear it and just wonder where the fuck did this go wrong, and then we're gonna look back at this article and be like, that Aaron Brockovich was a prophet. Although, wait a second, this could also affect us because it says like some of the some of the chemicals in the water are shrinking penis fine volumes of testes. It doesn't say anything about what generations affected the most. So for
Well,
all
I
we
mean,
know, we could have been consuming this shit our whole lives, especially you, because you eat out way more than I do.
first of all, I don't think eating out has anything to do with the amount of
Well,
chemicals in
well,
the food or whatever.
well. To be fair, I'm just saying to be fair, like
Well, and again, I think this is like these chemicals are affecting the hormones that like control penis size. Like if my dick is X big, like it can't get smaller than it already is, right? I mean, like just
man,
the same
did I
reason
just
that it's pretty difficult. Like if it were easy to just change penis size, then there would already be, this one weird pill that you could take that will grow your dick by 4 inches overnight, right? I mean, that would
oh
like
man,
that would already be a thing. So from what I understand, this is like if you already have been graced with a big dog, you're safe. But if you sort of consume a lot of these harmful chemicals like before puberty, then you will have a small dong, and you're
not a
gonna
lot you
need
can
you're
do
gonna need
about
the
it.
expansion pack or something. So, anyways, I think this is interesting. I don't know why the fake news media doesn't talk about this. These, you
Yeah, I
know,
mean, to be fair, I think I was thinking about Erin Brockovich earlier. She is an environmental activist. This one seems a little out there for me, though. I think she might have been throwing darts at a dartboard and kind of just missed. Like, I don't think that it's probably like an exaggerated problem. Because
no, I mean this isn't something that she came up with. Again, this is on. You can Google this and find plenty other media sources. It's based on studies, and you can find in general that this whole like forever chemicals thing, it is a real problem. It's just that we didn't know that it was shrinking our dongs, which is
right, no, I get that, but like, mm, I don't,
all right.
I mean, like,
Let's just move on to our next topic. We're a little behind
yeah,
schedule.
yeah, that's
So
fine.
um so as is customary, you have picked the third topic as well. And you have an opinion about Goat Format Warriors, I believe.
I
Warriors
like
in Goat Format.
I like how you said customary as if we've been doing this like for years. It's
Well,
like
it's customary as of now. So tell us about Goat Format Warriors.
all right, so Warriors. I don't think they're a bad like. Here's the long and short of it. I don't think they're a bad deck right now, but like, I really feel like they have like as like a deck type, I guess, have a lot of challenges to overcome in the current meta. I really think they do. Like I think they're really overrated because like
Well, it's interesting to me. Like I think the deck is almost like simultaneously like overrated and underrated. Like I think certain players are overrating it and other players are just not respecting it. And I mean,
Well,
I
yeah.
was saying this like years ago. I'm like, hey, if you don't respect warriors, you're gonna lose. And that still holds true. I mean, one of my Goat Format predictions for the year is that warriors aren't going away, and they're not going away. Like they never are gonna go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like, here's the thing.
But
It's
it's
not
definitely like the
hard.
kind of deck that you can beat if you really want to. Like if
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I agree that like they're overrated in the sense that like with most decks, like you really don't have much of an excuse to be losing to warriors. If your deck is losing to warriors a lot, like it's probably
Not
just like
viable.
bad deck with a bad side. Yeah, like it's probably just something's something's amiss there. But yeah, I mean for me, I actually like as a competitive player, I like the current meta because it's like all Thunder Dragon Chaos decks and Warrior decks, and to me, like those are just two of like the easiest decks to beat because there's like a million cards you could side in against them.
Mm-hmm. Now, a
So
deck that's much less easy to beat, in my opinion, like Reasoning Gate, for example. Like, I feel like there's no one card that Reasoning Gate just like folds to, or like Library FTK. Like, do you think like the OTK decks are really good right now?
I mean, I don't know. I think Library FTK is actually like I think it's still good, but I think like it's not as good as it used to be because like the back rows that people play are different now. Like it used to be that everyone's back rows were like Sakuretsu Armors and Dust Tornadoes, and now people's back rows are like Solemn Judgments and Raigeki Breaks. So
And yeah, neither of those are particularly.
yeah, so against like the standard like sort of Thunder Dragon Chaos deck, it's like they have 3 Raigeki Breaks, 2 to 3 Book of Moons, and oftentimes they even main like Dust Shoot or Solemn, or sometimes both, but usually not both. And then with Warriors,
Or
it's like they've
or
got,
go ahead.
3 Solemns, and then,
Mhm.
usually 2 to 3 Dust Shoots. And then they've also got, like Dust Tornado, Book, Compulse, whatever it is. So it's like Library FTK, like it's the matchups are most free when people just don't play very many back rows that affect it. Because like obviously Sakuretsu Armor, you don't care about that. Um
I mean,
so
yeah, you don't care about. I mean, and one of the things that's cool about like Library FTK as opposed to say Reasoning Gate is, while Reasoning Gate usually can do something through a Scapegoat, you don't care at all about
right,
Scapegoat when
yeah,
you're
yeah. That was I
like,
knew there was another card that I was missing. But yeah, Scapegoat's
yeah,
like another back row that
oh,
Library
the
FTK.
one the format's named after. No
Yeah.
NBD, buddy.
Yeah. But yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean, it is interesting because even though like, I'll bring this up here. Like in sort of the last major tournament, the top 3 decks were Warriors, first, second, and third. And Warriors have been taking like first and second in a lot of other events prior to this one too. And yet, like, I don't hear people complaining about Warriors that much. Like, I feel like people complain about Chaos more than they complain about Warriors. So, in a sense, like, I think people are still not respecting Warriors enough because they were like, oh man, I can't beat, like, I don't know, Thunder Dragon Graceful or whatever. They're, like, complaining about that and trying to figure out how to beat that instead of,
but like that's not even
respecting
like
Warriors. Which,
that's not like that's not even that bad though. Like, I don't know why people are complaining about it. It's not that bad.
I think, like, I don't know. I think with like the standard Thunder Dragon Chaos deck, they can sort of get more openings that just kind of give them free wins. Whereas when you play Warriors, the match feels closer. So people are like, oh, I almost won. But, you don't get like extra credit for having a close game. Like a loss is a loss.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually a really good point. Yeah, like it's like doesn't matter if you win by a little or a lot. A win's a win, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that I talked about like 5 years ago, actually, when I was sort of talking about, the mentality that I had when I took Monarchs to a win in 2016 YCS Atlanta. Or I didn't win, but I got top 32.
Right.
And like all of these people were like building their decks to like sort of have some action against everything. Like, oh, I want to play hand traps. Like that way, if I'm going second, like I don't fall like super far behind.
Oh
But
yeah.
my
Neil,
right,
I
but I was
actually
like,
remember we
so it's
talked
like,
about this
well,
when
it's
I was
like
thinking
where
of
I just
talent.
built my deck to just have the nuts as much as possible because like being able to compete with your opponent but sort of giving up your ceiling is
Not really where you want to
often,
be.
yeah, I mean in modern Yu-Gi-Oh more so than Goat, but it was just not like a good idea then. Like people wanted to have close games whereas I just wanted to win matches. Like I didn't care how close it was. um
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I mean I haven't necessarily like talked to a lot of players to sort of gauge how they feel about Warriors. But
Well,
me personally, it's just not a deck that I lose to very often. Um, and it
like,
depends on the pilot too. Like sometimes, like if you're playing
yeah,
on ladder, a lot of the people playing Warriors like don't really. They just make like they make mistakes.
turn one, summon Blade Knight, say go.
I mean, not
I
not
see
so
that a
much
lot.
that. I
I see
mean,
that a lot. What are you talking about?
that's no back rows or anything. Just summon Blade Knight, say
Well,
go.
summon Blade Knight, two back rows, turn one on the play, say go.
I mean, that can be fine sometimes. I mean, it depends.
I mean, blind though, like when you don't even know if Blade Knight's going to be like amazing against them or not.
Again, it depends. I
Mm.
mean, probably not blind. Like, probably not if I don't know the matchup. Because, like, I don't want to summon Blade Knight because if I summon Blade Knight, they might not like set through Kochi, which is you kind of want them to
Not what
set the
you want,
thing
yeah.
that Blade Knight kills, first.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, personally, like when I play Warriors, I'm a fan of just not playing a monster turn one if I'm going first. Just set like a back row and pass. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I mean, Warriors like it's not difficult to play, but there's some cards that are kind of difficult. Like you have to, like with any deck that plays Solemn, you have to know how to Solemn correctly, which isn't very easy. I mean, even for me, I probably still
I
make
mean,
mistakes with Solemn.
it's easy to mess up because it's like, oh, do I solemn the graceful or the thing they get off the graceful?
Yeah,
Do I solemn the X? Or do I solemn the Y? It's like because like if someone goes graceful with a light and a dark in the grave, you have to think, man, well, if they're one of the cards in their grave is BLS, I'm just dead if I solemn. But if I don't solemn, I might be dead anyways. So what do I do here? That's a very common situation, and that's actually that was actually one of the things I want to talk about, some of the pitfalls when it comes to like Warriors, and I certainly think that's one of them. Like, man, like for example, like knowing when to solemn is really important. Another thing that's really important is that I don't think it's talked about at all is protecting your monsters against Sakuretsu armors. Like no, like so many warrior players I see just no matter what monster they have, like, oh well, I'm gonna attack my Blade Knight directly. That's 2,000 damage. It gets Saku. They think nothing of it, and then later in the game, because they didn't think to protect their Blade Knight or their Kaiku or whatever, now they're short on damage or they missed a turn or whatever. Like when it's obviously you're not protecting people your bronze against Saku a lot, but when you are, it's like game deciding.
yeah. I mean, so yeah. So just to wrap this up, overall, like I agree that Warriors overrated in the sense that like they are placing way better than they should be, perhaps. Like, if someone's new to Goat format and sees, oh, Warriors took places 1 through 3, they might think, like, oh, yeah, Warriors must just be, like, far and away the best deck. But I don't think they are. I mean, part of it, I think, like, with this tournament here, like, Lucas and AJT BLS are both, like, pretty good players. So it might not necessarily be that Warriors are good so much that, like, the two of the top Goat format players happen to be playing Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at like this deck, like Mr. Big Noodles deck or whatever, he's playing like 3 Decrees, 3 Berserk Gorillas, and then like in the deck that won the format library tournament, it was kind of like a zombie deck that was similar. It was a zombie deck with 3 Berserk Gorillas, 3 Decrees.
What the fuck is this deck? 3 mind controls?
Yeah, anti-chaos.
I guess, but Jesus, man.
Yeah, I'm not saying I think this deck's perfect, but like the 3 Decree, 3 Berserk Gorilla package, like that's an example of understanding the threat of warriors and actually respecting the deck. I'm not saying this is the only way to beat warriors, but
No.
clearly this player was like, yeah, I want to
He even put
be
2
prepared for
Cypher
warriors.
Soldiers in the side for warriors. I don't even think that card is that good against soldiers.
Yeah, I mean it depends like on their list because like I think it was third place. He was playing like double skill Dark Magician. Yeah,
Which,
which
sure.
which kills Cypher Soldier regardless of what mode it's in. So you might see warrior players playing like more skilled darks if a lot of people are playing Cypher Soldier. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, so there's like a little, there's always kind of been a little back and forth where like, you know, for a while it was like, oh, Messenger Piece is really good against warriors. Then warriors started leaning more into like Mystic Swordsman and Donzalug. And
Now swords is the way to go, if you ask me. Swords or
I mean, it can be. I was gonna say now that like Kinetic Soldier or Cypher Soldier is really popular. You see like the main deck Skill Dark. But like there's not really like they don't really have a great main deck answer to Berserk Gorilla or Royal Decree. I mean, they side the Cliff now to deal with Decree, but that's only if the Cliff can deal damage. So like if you have Berserk Gorilla or Royal Decree, you have to kill the Berserk Gorilla and then Rhoda for Cliff to kill the Decree, which is easier
much
said
harder
than done. Yeah.
I mean,
So,
you basically what I'm picturing is someone who like sets their whole hand, rotas for it, and then like has a like premature as a Blade Knight or something. That's what I'm picturing.
all right. Well, so yeah. So now I want to want to show off some new features of the Goat Format Simulator. So you can see my screen, right, Matt?
Well, now I can, yeah.
Like you see that I'm on the login page here.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
So now we can actually like log in. Before this was kind of just a you know, just kind of like a placeholder. So you can log in, you see it takes us to our wall, and oh, wait, I actually forgot to turn this on. Okay, so hold on, let me go back actually.
Ooh.
So yeah.
You know, actually, if I'm ever on again, I actually figured out what I'm gonna pick for my next topic.
Okay,
If I'm
well,
on again.
all right, well, you can tell me next time, I guess. So anyways, now we have this settings thing, and it's right now there's only one setting, which is your game background, and I made this new background. I think this one's a little more low key than the others.
It looks really nice.
But
I kind of like it.
So this is like the default background, but then you can change it, right? So I can do Sorcerer in Space, then you can see what it looks like. You can change it to Thousand Eyes Goat, see what it looks like. So I'll set it to Sorcerer in Space, and then we'll hit save. It takes us back, and now we go to our game. You'll see that it's Sorcerer in Space is the background.
Yeah, that's cool. But one of the things I think you should have it be the main screen, because the main screen didn't change here.
Well, this is just for the game background.
I know, but I think you should also make the background change here. People are gonna want to. I think it'd be a nice little way to customize it, make it a little bit more personable.
I mean, we can potentially do that.
I mean,
but
it's
yeah,
low priority, but a thing.
So then we change it. We go back, and now it's changed. I'm not sure if the last time I showed off the new features, if I showed that we can do this, but we can make Solemn pay half now. How cool is that? So
wow.
So hold on, let me like subtract 1,000 life. And then I click on Solemn, and you see that it auto-populates.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hold on, they actually can't see because my my camera. But yeah, so we can subtract 35. We can click on Solemn again, and then it's 1750. It auto-populates.
Oh yeah, do it 2 more times. I want to see what happens when it comes to because I'm pretty sure you're supposed to round down, but I forget.
Oh no, you're supposed to round up, which it does. Oh wait.
Okay, go ahead.
No, it actually did it wrong. So yeah, I actually do need to fix the routing. We should be at 438, not 437.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. I mean, I guess you misunderstood what I meant when I said round
Yeah,
up
yeah. Yeah. I knew what I was supposed to do,
or
but I
round
just
down.
think I programmed it wrong. I rounded up the amount that you're subtracting when obviously it's the opposite, right? If you want to
Yeah.
round the end result up, that means you want to round the amount that you're subtracting down. And then I also have this switch for people can turn on and off card names. Uh, I
Ooh.
think some people like the card names and some don't. Obviously, the sort of more authentic anime look is without the card names, but
I mean that's how I'm always gonna do it. Cause God, I don't know how many duel simulators have we gone through in life, and no one thought, let's do the anime design. How has no one thought of
well,
this?
I
That's
mean,
what I want to know.
I didn't think of it either. It was like several people who suggested it to me because I sort of had my own custom design that I don't know. In comparison to this, kind of looked like shit.
Well,
Um,
what was the original idea? Now I'm curious.
it was like the art was centered, and the name is just sort of like up at the top by itself, and
So,
then the level stars were like in the art on the side, like on the right, sort of running down like this. And then like the attribute, I think was I don't know, maybe it was like over here on the left. It was basically just like my own design. People were like, oh that sucks. And like I didn't think it looked that bad, but I definitely think that this looks better.
I mean, when I saw this for the first time, like I'm just like, oh man, it's one of those things. Like I did not realize I wanted this to be a thing.
Yeah. And then we
And
got these other cards here that can change our life. Like obviously for upstart we don't gain 1,000 off our own upstart, but like our opponent could click on it and then they could gain 1,000. So if our opponent
oh,
activated an upstart, it would just auto populate it. And you'll notice it even switches the plus to minus, right? So if we click on pre, it goes minus 800. Click on upstart, it goes back to plus. And you can change this
wow,
yourself by clicking on it. And I actually don't
that's
like
cool.
the plus and minus symbols. I think they're like a little like plain. I think maybe we could make the plus and minus symbols look a little sexier.
Maybe, but I don't know. It already looks really fucking good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get different I get different feedback from different people.
Yeah,
Um
I mean, I
and some
personally
people
I
have
don't.
like really strong opinions and some don't. Like one thing that I actually looked into, like people are saying, "Oh, between like your field and your opponent's field, there should be like something in the middle to separate it." Um So I looked into doing that, but it just I don't know.
It
I
just
mean, I
wasn't
can
very
I can see
elegant.
why people want it, but it just didn't. Like here, this sort of uses up all our space efficiently, and the problem is if you like move the phases into the middle, then it's like you're taking up too much vertical space, and then you kind of have nothing over on the right.
So that
So,
actually brings me to a question. Where is the remove from play zone? I'm not sure I see it.
well, that's here. You see what I'm clicking on? So it
Wait a
alternates.
second. Hold on a second. Do that again.
So look, so Matt. So right now I'm showing the graveyards. I'm gonna put Upstart Goblin in my grave, and then I click. It says click to switch to banished. I click to switch to banished, and now it's the banished zone showing here.
Um,
So if I put
I
cross
have
out,
mixed.
now it's in my banished, and we can switch
I
back and
have
forth.
I have mixed feelings about that. I like the compact, like how compact this is, but I
Right.
feel like this is going to be very easy for people to forget. Like I
Um.
might be wrong, but like I have a feeling that like because I know for sure like I sometimes forget to look in my banished when I am like playing on dueling book, like which I'm not sure if this will make it easier or harder to remember it. Like I think it's one of those things that like beta testing time will tell
Well,
that
I
whole thing.
mean, if you want to look in your banished, you want to look in your banished. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. For me, it's like I don't
Right.
forget to look. Like, if I want to look, I look. If I don't, I don't. I don't know if that
Well,
makes sense.
well,
So as long
well,
as you know
it
what
does.
button to click, like at first you might be like, "Hey, where's the banished zone?"
But what I'm saying, I guess maybe I should make this a little more say this a little better. So what I'm saying is that like, you know, I might forget that the banished is relevant because I don't see it on the field. And then I might not think...
Sure, like you're saying, say you're, like, facing against, like, a Bazoo return deck, you might forget that, like, oh, wait, their banished pile has, like, 10 cards in it because it's not showing.
Or your pile has a few banished cards. Like, you're like, oh, I could summon my Faith and my Sangan. Or, even, like, those things can matter, and you may just totally forget about them. Like, and it's just like, people make that shortcut. It's like, well, I don't have anything my banished. My deck doesn't banish stuff very often, when in all actuality, your opponent played a Kaiku and they banished 3 things, and then you go to Premature and you're like, oh, where is it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, like, what if there was, I don't know, like, some text on the screen that said, like, banished count, and it said, like, 10 cards or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that might be a good solution. Like I said, there's a reason that I'm not the one designing this, because I don't know shit. We've talked about this.
Well, I mean, most of this stuff is like is common sense. Like,
right. Well, what I'm saying is, like, there's a reason I don't do this design part, because I can barely put together what's going on in, like, JavaScript. Like, there's a reason I'm not in the design process for this. What I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, design and coding are 2 different things.
Right.
Like, in the real world, the people who are coding aren't, like, deciding how things are going to be designed.
Right.
They're given, they're given requirements, and then they code the requirements. So,
sure.
Design and coding are 2 different things.
Sure. Semantics, but yes, I get you. Yeah. So, so far so good. Although I've noticed, like, every time you put it in, you always have the same 4 cards. You have either Premature...
Yeah, this is a demo.
Oh, okay. So, like, can I build a deck with those 4 cards?
Well, no, not yet.
Well, I mean, hey, I want to play my 10 Shining Angel, 15 Gatling Dragon, 10 Premature, 10 Call the Haunted, 10 Upstart Goblin deck.
Sure.
And 5 Solemns for good measure.
Well, anyways, I was gonna also show, like, that when we save these settings, if we, say I close this and we go to log back in, like, the settings will be saved.
Oh, cool.
That's the idea, right? You obviously, see, look, we go back and the settings are still there. So this is actually, like, all in a database that, physically lies in Amazon's cloud servers. Cool. So when I say, hey, I want to change this to whatever, I want to change this default, when I click save, it basically takes the data that's in my settings and it sends it over to Amazon and says, hey, store this in your database. And then when you go to the login screen, and, we type in the username and password,
brings it up, yeah.
Yeah, it basically sends a request, hey, Amazon, I want the settings of this person named new user. And then it takes those settings, it stores it all on my machine, and then when I click the settings button, it populates the settings.
So man, what if Jeff Bezos just, like, what if, like, Konami goes to Jeff Bezos and is like, hey, this person is fucking us up, and then Jeff Bezos, like, works in a conspiracy against Konami. You know what? Forget it. That's not going to happen.
But anyways, that wraps it up for today. So yeah. Watchers, viewers, whatever. Sure, let me know your thoughts on the simulator, the big issue of the shrinking dongs. That's
smaller issue of boomers being bad with technology, which I'm sure is breaking news for you all.
Yeah, and in Warriors in Goat Format. All right.
Alan, it's been a blast.
Yep.
Thanks.